Hello, welcome back. Did you know that you and or your loved ones can enhance your nonverbal communication and perhaps even your verbal communication with LED strip lights? Just like those. And those. And those colors. And those colors. And those. And those. They do lots of cool colors. And even change colors. Well, you can. And today I'm going to talk about how my family and I have used LED strip lights like those to do just that. Not only that, but I'll also talk about a few additional ways on top of the ones that we use that you can use as well. So, LED strip lights, again, like those, are a great way to add additional nonverbal communication means for families that have individuals with autism. And for those that don't too. We'll talk about that longer list of ways that a family can use LED strip lights for communication in a bit, after we talk about how to use them as a family, how we use them as a family. But first, a little heads up. So, recently bought a package of double 50-foot LED strip lights, of which those are one of those 50-foot strips. Now, this is not a sponsored video, and personally, I don't think this particular brand of strip lights is anything special to write home about. No special fancy features or anything like that. To me, it doesn't really make a difference. So, you'll see the strip lights, and you'll see them throughout the video. But it's not sponsored, and I won't be mentioning brand names. Just wanted to point that out at the beginning. This is a generic LED strip lights, and there's lots of options out there. You can find what fits for your family and your needs. Moving on. So, how do we, as a family, use our LED strip lights? Not just these. There's other ones. The other 50-foot strip. As an asset for communication in our house. So, again, we bought the two 50-foot strips. They've run out of the same hub mechanism. This one runs out of it, and the other one does as well. The other one runs out of my office, where we are right now, up a wall, down a hall, and up to the second floor. Now, this means that anyone who is down here on the first floor, or anyone who peeks around the top of the stairs on the second floor can see these lights as a method of communication. Silent communication. They don't make any noise. Like, I turn them on. No noise. No noise. No noise at all. So people can see them, and I can change the color without making any noise or bothering anybody, sound-wise. And I can even change the brightness of particular colors if I want, or control it from my phone if I want to get that technical, but that's not that important for my needs, our needs. However, what do we use it to communicate non-verbally and without sound at all? Well, if I'm recording like this, I usually have it on a particular color. And that allows other people in the house to know that I'm recording, that my office is in a busy state, or if I'm on a video call or a chat with a client, or if, say, my wife is using my office for her own work, if she's on an important call for something, or if someone needs to use my office for a virtual doctor's appointment or something, or if family members are visiting and they need to make a private call, we can put on specific color that works for the situation, and we have our own color-coded rubric, and one of those things is do not disturb. And similarly, the same do not disturb color for us, personally, for our situation, is also a color, red, which we use because it means stop, commonly here in America, and most places in the world, I think. But it also is useful for us. So if I'm de-stressing, taking some personal self-care time, some of my enjoyable self-care options are ones that our littles are not ready for yet. they're not old enough, or might actually scare them. If it's Friday night and I need some time to myself, and the kids are watching their own movie with their mom, or they're visiting with some friends or something, and I don't know what's going on, I might put on my own movie, and it might be something a little more on the edgy side or on the scary side. In that case, I put on the red lights so that the kids don't come in and get scared. Or if I'm playing a video game that the kids might not be old enough for, red. Similarly, if I'm playing something that's okay, and I'm just getting some self-care time, but it's okay for the kiddos to come in, but just to be, aware that daddy's getting self-care, but it's not scary self-care, we could have a different color. Or if it's just daddy's working, but you can come in and bother him, we might have another color, and we do. And we can do all of these forms of communication without me getting up from my chair, which is super helpful, especially if something changes. Like when I finish recording and I move on to editing, I can go from, say, the previous color that we talked about do not enter, do not disturb, to daddy's working, but you can come in and bother him all you want. And that allows us to change how we communicate these. We use it mostly for this particular room and communicating with other places in the house. That's great for our needs. But I did promise you that there are other ways to communicate with it aside from what we use that could help you and your family as well, and your friends, whoever might be visiting. So what are those? Let's get on to those now. All right, here are 5 more ways in which you can use LED strip lights to enhance nonverbal communication in your house. So, number 1. Audio or photosensitivity warnings at home. So this could be using soft color lights, say putting on a light and then turning it down to its softest setting to notify other family members about before they enter a space, especially where there's spaces where there might occasionally be bright lights or bright noises, such as, say, a workshop where someone might be prone to welding or operating power tools. Photography studios where there might be bright flashes of light where someone might be sensitive to it. Certain at-home theaters might have bright lights depending on the situation, or some people's personal at-home studies or entertainment rooms might have lots of bright LEDs inside of them and might have a softer LED outside so that before someone steps in, if the bright LEDs or bright lights inside, there's a heads up. And that can help notify those people who might go in before they go in that there's bright lights or loud sounds or particular sounds that might cause dysregulation in certain individuals in the household. But we'll get to number 2, non-verbal updates on food and drink. So some households can use alternative means to communicate supper is ready, or snacks, or treats without saying it. It might be something if you have a little bit more of a relaxed, say like a Saturday or something where you don't have a schedule, or you've got older people, older kiddos, or your adults, and you want to communicate that, supper's ready, or things like that. Situations, especially where you're not using a schedule board, I'm talking about in this case, that these lights might be helpful to be like, okay, supper's coming, supper's ready, things like that. And, or, like, I've made food, you want to come take a look at it without actually communicating verbally that food is ready or something else. And again, I'll talk about this again in a minute, but you can technically color code all of these different things to different colors. We only have 3 or 4 color codes, but you can set up your own plethora of color codes, your own color wheel of coding, in which case there's, depending on which brand of LED strip lights you go with, you could have an immense number of options. You can set up a flashing pattern depending on who your family, and if flashing patterned lights are okay with your family, you could set up a flashing patterns that mean certain things. Red flashing pattern means one thing, a red static pattern means one thing, a blue flashing pattern means one thing, a blue static pattern means one thing, and so on. I've digressed slightly, but back on track. Number 3, free time warnings, especially when using them with schedule boards. So carrying off the idea of the food and supper or snacks or whatnot, you could have specific lights to let kiddos or other people in the house of any age know that, well, specifically, especially when using schedule boards, when there's like a 5-minute warning, especially for kids who are more autonomous or more sensitive to knowing how long periods of time are without having it counted down for them. Our kiddos are pretty good. If you say 5 minutes, they know about how long 5 minutes is without you having to count it off. And so if you're like 5 minutes and you turn on lights with 5 minutes, they would probably do pretty good with that as a non-verbal visual cue. And so that's something that might help for other families, giving that visual cue of 5 minutes till the next thing on your schedule board. It can also be helpful to give a heads up warning, especially when something that's less exciting is coming up on a schedule. X number of minute warning that the thing that you're not looking forward to or the thing you're looking forward to is coming. And again, you have to balance these things with your family and their needs, their sensitivities, what things will get them dysregulated or re-regulated. Which brings us to number 4, a dysregulation heads up. Now, I use the color red for the do not disturb. As I talked about, we used red for a variety of do not disturb options. However, you might also have situations where it's not just don't disturb because I'm recording or I'm working, or I might have something on the TV that might give you the spookies. Well, it could also be something like I'm having a hard time. Maybe you set up a system where your kiddo has an LED strip light in their room that goes around their door frame and comes back in, so that if they need to take time for themselves, they go into their room and they can turn on the LED light from a wall-mounted controller remote that's pointed at the receiver or something. Not too hard to set up. You just have the remote anchored to the wall and pointed straight up towards a receiver that comes with it, and then you just snake the power cord around your door frame, and you snake the LED light around your door frame, and you just have them loop around and go out, or have the receiver point down, or whatever works for your family in your organizational situation. Just you can keep the cords out of the way and keep it working. It is possible. With a little bit of thought and thinking about it, you can make it work. And that'll allow a kiddo to be able to just push a single button, like power it on or push power and color, and be able to communicate non-verbally, even if there's other people visiting, that they're not okay, that something's wrong. And that allows them to keep this information private to only the people who have been told what that color means. And this brings us naturally into number 5, actually, which is needing a comfort person, needing a re-regulation item, needing a re-regulation person, or a similar preset or another preset message. It doesn't have to be something for re-regulation. It can just be a preset message of any form, which brings me back to the thing I mentioned before about these things can be customized to your own family's needs. So carrying back again on number 4, which is if there's something a particular individual needs when they're dysregulated, these lights can be used to convey that message to people who see them, who know what's up, who know that blue flashing light means that your teddy bear's missing and that you're dysregulated and you need teddy bear, but you don't know where teddy bear is, but you also can't get out of the room because you're so dysregulated and there's someone visiting and you just can't do it. Well, then someone in the house who knows, who cares, can go help you find Teddy and bring it to you, or can come to you, communicate, and then go find or help you find or do whatever is necessary to help that re-regulation process. And it helps preserve the dignity of an individual when it's a re-regulation or some other sensitive information like that that's encoded into nonverbal lights like this. and yet it also allows for quietude in situations or houses where there's an audio sensitivity, or in situations where you have people who are deaf or hard of hearing. These lights might be another form of communication in addition to things like texting, which is always, again, a form of nonverbal communication that is acceptable, obviously, at least in my book. If someone's unable to communicate verbally, there's no reason you can't communicate in whatever form is necessary for you and your family, or you and whoever you're working with. So that's how we use LED strip lights, and 5 ways on top of that that you can too. Actually, probably more than that, but at least 5 ways on top of that that you and your family and friends can too. So if you have ways that you use light-based or other nonverbal-based communication means or methods, throw that down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. If you have any other thoughts or ideas on top of that, hey, let me know. Let's start a discussion. Let's talk about it. And one last thing before this video ends, I want to say thank you for watching. I'm glad you're here. You and your family matter. You are loved. You're worth it. You have value. You mean something. This world wouldn't be the same without you. No matter what anyone else tells you, no matter what there are going to be people out there who might try and bring you down, who are going to say things, who have possibly said things, who have given you looks, or, whatnot. And it can hurt. But you matter. Your family matters. You are loved, and you're worth it, and everything you're doing is worth it. And you contribute something that is irreplaceable to this world. So thank you. And in a moment, we're going to transition to an ending screen with some other content on it. Feel free to click those links to other videos if you want to see some other content from this channel. Again, thank you for watching. I'm Mike Malcolm. I'll see you next time.